When it comes to haunted places, few carry the same level of eerie reputation as Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. The former mental institution has a dark history that includes mistreatment of patients and questionable experiments conducted on them. But for those who dare to enter its dilapidated halls, there's a chance to encounter the restless spirits that are said to linger there. One of the most famous ghosts of the asylum is that of a young girl named Lily. Lily was a patient at the asylum in the early 1900s, and her story is one of the most heartbreaking and tragic ones that have ever occurred within the institution's walls. Born with a rare disorder that made her entire body feel very inflamed and sore, Lily spent much of her childhood in and out of hospitals. She also suffered from severe epilepsy, which caused her to experience terrifying seizures. At the age of 14, Lily was sent to Trans-Allegheny Asylum, where she would spend the last 4 years of her life. Upon her arrival, the asylum staff wasted no time in beginning experimental treatments on her, including lobotomies, insulin shock therapy, and electroconvulsive therapy. Unfortunately, none of these procedures were successful in treating her illnesses, and they actually left her in a much worse state. In fact, the treatment seemed to aggravate her conditions, and she began to deteriorate rapidly. As Lily's health declined, she became more and more withdrawn and isolated until she stopped speaking altogether. Her final years at the asylum were spent alone in a padded cell, completely disconnected from the world around her. She was fed through a tube, and her body was left emaciated and covered in sores. Eventually, Lily passed away in 1922 at the age of 18. But even after her death, her story doesn't end there. Those who have visited the asylum claim that they have seen the ghost of Lily wandering the halls. Some say they've heard her voice echoing through the empty corridors, or felt a cold touch on their arm as she passed by. It's believed that Lily is searching for her family, who never came to visit her during her lifetime. And she's still angry and resentful towards the doctors who experimented on her and ultimately caused her death. There have been many reports of strange occurrences in the asylum over the years, but perhaps the most disturbing are those involving the operating room. This is the place where many of the experiments on Lily and other patients were carried out, and it's said to be one of the most haunted places in the entire building. Medical equipment is known to move on its own, and disembodied voices can often be heard. Some visitors have even claimed to see the ghost of Lily being wheeled into the operating room on an old metal table. They say the sight is both terrifying and sad, as if the asylum walls themselves are trying to convey the pain and suffering that took place there. But Lily is not the only spirit that haunts this place. There have been many reports of other ghostly apparitions that can be seen throughout the asylum. Some say they've encountered the ghost of a little girl in a Victorian nightgown, while others have seen the shadow of a man in a straitjacket. Many visitors have also reported hearing strange noises, such as whispers, footsteps, and screams in the middle of the night. Some have even claimed to have been touched or grabbed by an unseen force while exploring the asylum. While these stories may sound like tall tales, there is some evidence to suggest that there really are ghosts at Trans-Allegheny Asylum. In 2016, a group of paranormal investigators conducted a seance in the asylum, and they claimed that they were able to make contact with several spirits, including that of a young girl who they believed to be Lily. During the seance, the investigators said they heard voices and footsteps, and some of them even saw apparitions of former patients and staff members. Whether or not one believes in ghosts, there's no denying that the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum is a place filled with sadness and tragedy. The stories of the patients who were experimented on and abused there are truly horrifying, and it's clear that many of them never received the treatment they needed. So what is it about this place that has allowed these stories to persist for so long? One theory is that the asylum is simply a repository of human suffering. The pain and anguish that took place here has left an indelible mark on the building itself, and the spirits of those who suffered are unable to move on because they did not receive the dignity and respect they deserved in life. Another theory is that the asylum is a reflection of our society's attitude towards mental illness. In the early 20th century, people with mental disorders were often stigmatized and ostracized. They were seen as dangerous and unpredictable, and were subjected to cruel and inhumane treatment. The Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum is a microcosm of this societal attitude, and the ghosts that haunt it are a reminder of the progress we still need to make in understanding and treating mental illness. Perhaps most importantly, the asylum is simply a place where a lot of people have died. When human lives are cut short, and the circumstances surrounding those deaths are tragic, it's natural to wonder what happens next. Do the souls of those who have died find peace, or are they forever trapped in the world of the living? We may never know the answers to these questions, but the haunting legacy of Trans-Allegheny Asylum serves as a reminder of the power of the human spirit and the importance of treating all life with respect and dignity. Now let's move on to another story about a ghost that haunts a hospital. The abandoned hospital of Waverly Hills Sanatorium is said to be one of the most haunted places in America. Located in Louisville, Kentucky, the former tuberculosis sanatorium was once a bustling center of activity as doctors tried to find a cure for the deadly disease. But the facility soon became overcrowded and understaffed, and the living conditions quickly deteriorated. In the early 1900s, the sanatorium was considered to be a progressive and modern facility. But it soon became clear that the doctors were not making any real progress in finding a cure for TB. As the disease continued to spread, the sanatorium became overcrowded, and the staff was overworked and underpaid. Conditions for the patients quickly deteriorated, and many of them died. Despite the grim circumstances, there were still a few bright spots at the sanatorium. One of these was the music therapy program, which was led by a charismatic doctor named Carlton. Carlton believed that music could help his patients cope with their illness and the isolation of the sanatorium. He organized a choir and a band, and the patients looked forward to their weekly performances. Unfortunately, Carlton's program was cut short when he was accused of stealing from the sanatorium. He was fired, and the music program was disbanded. The sanatorium continued to operate until 1961, when it was finally closed due to budget cuts. Today, the sanatorium is a popular destination for ghost hunters and those looking to experience a haunted place. Visitors have reported seeing apparitions of former patients and staff members, and some have even heard the sound of music echoing through the empty halls. The presence of Carlton in the music program is particularly strong, and he is said to appear as a ghost in the old music room. One visitor who recently explored the abandoned hospital captured video footage of a ghost that appeared to be dancing in the old music room. The apparition is not only moving like a person, but it's also interacting with the camera in a strange way. Is this evidence of a real ghost, or is it simply a trick of the light? Be the judge and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to stay tuned for more stories about haunted places. Thanks for watching.